Hello friends. Friends, in this video we're going to discuss very famous and very important poem, Courage, written by Anne Saxton. Friends, before to study the critical analysis of the poem Courage, it's our prime duty that we have to focus on life and contribution of world famous young poet Anne Saxton. Friends, Anne Saxton is one of the well-known poets of 20th century America. Means she is from America. Friends, if you study the life and literature of Anne Saxton, then we found that how her life was filled with many challenges. Friends, it is found that she was suffering from psychological issues during her life, such as bipolar disorder and depression. And due to that, friends, it's unfortunate to say that she committed suicide on 4th October 1974. Friends, we know that if you read the life or literature of the prolific poet Anne Saxton, then we found that she won multitude of awards, including 1967 Pulitzer Prize for her book of poetry called Live or Die. Friends, it is very proudly we can discuss that she is oftenly compared with the writings of Sylvia Plath, who wrote metaphors, because of her poetry is an intimate look into her psyche, and also because she too dealt with depression and ultimately committed suicide by asphyxiating herself. Friends, just 45 years life, but during these 45 years we found that Anne Saxton has published 10 collections of poetry, a play, essay and short stories. Her most popular collections of poetry including the titles like Bedlam and Partway, All My Pretty Ones, the Pulitzer Prize winner Love or Die, Transformations, The Death Notebook, The Awful Rowing Toward God, and there are some play entitled like Mercy Street. Friends, Anne Saxton was associated with Royal Society of Literature and recipient of Guggenheim Fellowship for her poetry, and also has a professorship at various reputed universities in America. As far as Anne Saxton's poetical works and writings are concerned, we found that her poetry is a brand and unique one. She used various devices in her poetry like alliteration, metaphor, irony, comparison, hyperbole, imagery, onomatopoeia, epithets, repetition, rhetorical and questions. Friends, we found that such a great poet has done suicide, and it's very unfortunate to all of us. If she will be there, definitely she will write many more works. Let it be, friends, really pay homage to the life of Anne Saxton. Friends, let's start the poem Courage. The poem Courage appears in Anne Saxton's 8th and last collection of original poems entitled The Awful Rowing Toward God, which was posthumously published after a year of her death or her suicide. Friends, This is very famous poem, like her many poems. In this poem, she herself universalized her experiences. You know that, friends, as far as Indian mythology is concerned, in Indian mythology or Hindu mythology, our life is divided into 4 ashramas. And like that, you know, friends, 4 ashramas: Brahmacharya ashrama, Grihastha ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama, and finally Sannyasa ashrama. Means all these are the 4 important fractions of our life. It means from Brahmacharya ashrama, from age of 1 to 25, one should take education or do hard work and take education. In second, which is called Grihastha ashrama, from 26 to 50, one should work in sansara and he has to do the service to his parents, society, etc. From 51 to 75, this is Vanaprastha ashrama, means one has to create his mind to live the Grihastha ashrama or sansara, and he has to devote or he has to work for upliftment of society or for social work. And finally, Sannyasa ashrama, it means from 76 to 100. If you can consider our life is of 100 years. From 76 to 100, one should live in isolation or live in Brahmacharya ashrama, means he has to lay everything, Grihastha and everything, and he has to do only meditation, meditation and meditation for the renunciation of life. Like that, friends, the poem Courage has 4 stanzas, and each stanza representing a different stage in one's life. For instance, friends, first stanza, poet discusses about childhood. In second stanza, Anne Saxton describes the scenes from young adulthood. In third stanza, she contends with middle age. And in final, means in last stanza, she is discussing about the ideas of old age. Means like 4 ashramas. The speaker of the poem gives example of instances in each life stage where a person may have to show courage. But here, yes, friends, the word or the title is very important. Everybody must show courage. Friends, these days are very challenging for everybody. From last 1.5 year, whole world is facing the challenging virus corona, and those people who are courageous, they succeeded to defeat this disease. So friends, every time in our life, courage plays very, very crucial role. So friends, let's start the poem, detailed analysis of the poem. Friends, in first stanza, yes friends, one more thing I want to show about the poem, that the poem Anne Saxton makes very personal poem for her reader by using inclusive personal pronouns such as we and you. Yes friends. So all these 4 stanzas are also applicable to you and me. And so she is using the personal pronouns like we and you. The poem is unrhymed and written in free verse. Each of the 4 stanzas contains 12 lines of varying lengths. So it is in free verse. So let's start the poem with declarative sentence. Yes, for friends. The poetess Anne Saxton has started the poem with a declarative sentence. And how she writes? She writes that it is in the small things we see it. Yes, friends. One can assume it means the sentence courage. Here it means courage, not life. Life is in small things we see it. Sorry, courage. Courage is the small thing we see it. Yes, friends. So we have to think. Based on the title of the work, it is also important to point out that courage serves as the theme of the poem as well. So friends, keep the idea courage in our mind and then study the poem. Then you will feel easily understood in single reading. In first stanza, the poet stated that the first stanza represents person's early years through the use of various similes and metaphors. The speaker, possibly Sexton, conveys to the reader that even the most basic moments in life still take courage. Yes, friends. We found the second line of the poem where she listed the courageous acts in one performance when they are children. The child's first step as awesome as an earthquake. Yes, friends. You know, it is also through courage that how child walk, or its first step, a kind of an earthquake. Yes, friends. We found that there are many quotations about child. Child is father of man. Yes, friends. So we found its first step is like earthquake, which is a kind of a very important idea showed by Anne Saxton, and it is kind of life changing and thunderous learning to walk. So friends, no, a child's first step will not make the earth shake, but can it change the world of the child? Yes, friends. It is not the earthquake for world, but it is earthquake, or it is changing, or it is very great moment for parents as well as the child, like earthquake in its lives. And so she continues this type of using pronoun you to summoning to the readers in this poem. She also writes the line like, the first time you rode a bike. Yes, friends. Now it is the first phase of our life, childhood life. And when we first time cycling or wallowing up a sidewalk, yes, friends, this is also another game of the children that they are wallowing. And it means they are catching various insects. And with the use of universal examples such as learning to ride a bike, or it is for too easy for reader to inject him or herself into the poem. Yes, friends, how we are very happy when we are successful to cycling the cycle, or when we'll learn to cycle the bicycle. Definitely, it was very overwhelming experience for everybody's life. She also give one noteworthy example of wallowing up, and they are riding along feeling the glory of their accomplishments. Yes, friends, during childhood we found that first step, first world, or first time independently rode on the bicycle. These are very, very great actions, but all these actions are not without courage. So everybody, if you want to drive your car also, I always state that myself drive the car, but if you read or if you theoretically learn to drive the car, it will be not useful. I firmly say that only 20% skills are there, 80% courage for every driving. And in that regard, we found the child first time walking, or the boy who first time successful in cycling is very useful for his life to show the courage. And so she continues this time with more somber look at courage, the first spanking when your heart went on journey all alone. Yes, friends, when we found that first time we are successful to drive or to cycle the bicycle. Sexton pointing out here, the courage is not always something that is necessary to accomplish a specific task. Sometimes courage is specific something all on one's own, even though the event will not be all enjoyable. So friends, sometimes, every time, everything is not enjoyable. So she continues with the negative aspects of courage with the last 5 lines of the first stanza, which flow together. When they called you cry baby, or poor, or fatty, or crazy, and made you into an alien, you drank their acid and concealed it. Yes, friends, these are also very dangerous experiences. Everybody not gives or not promotes you. Sometimes you will be tested by your surrounding people. Sometimes they call you crazy boy, cry baby, poor, fatty, and when you listen all these things, you have to show the courage. You have to drink that kind of acid and conceal it and be ready for your life. Yes, friends, many times we found that our surrounding people are not encouraging us. But through their negative aspects also, we have to learn the courage. And so the last lines, the last 5 lines are very, very useful for everybody, that we have to acknowledge that we should not keep fear in our mind. If somebody calls us crazy or lazy or cry baby or poor, we have to be very courageously fight or face these words and be ready for forthcoming life. Friends, here Anne Saxton acknowledging the life, that how one should, we all have all been bullied for something in our lives. Perhaps we did not have money, or we were chubby or acted weird. She reminds that reader or you or me must be drank, means this kind of a poisonous words or substance, and ready for fighting with life. And so she is using you and we have to show courage for these horrible words. Friends, this is about the first stanza, that how child has to show that very courage or drink the acid, poisonous acid. Friends, gradually Anne Saxton moving toward the next or second stage of life, that is the second stanza, with single word for the first line, latter. Latter means one step ahead. One step ahead means we have to forget the childhood stage and we have to enter in younghood life. And so latter is the word, signifies that the reader has to grow from child into young adult. Unlike in the first stanza, where everything is absolute, here Saxton uses the word if to talk to those who may have had to fight in war. Although one can assume that the battle Sexton mentions here could be metaphors for the ones everyone fights in life. Yes, friends, battle means our life is a kind of a battlefield, and everybody has to courageously fight with all sorts of problems in our day-to-day life. Here, that the war was fought in absence of pride. One did not wave one's flag proudly. She continues with this idea of what the reader did not do. She writes, "You did not fondle the weakness inside you, though it was there." Yes, friends, you know that everybody has some weaknesses, some loopholes, but you should not cry with our loopholes. We should not show our loopholes to people, because in the world, if you are ready or if you are crying or showing your loopholes, definitely people will make you football. And in that situation, you have to show your courage. And in that regard, that while she mentioning that, she writes, "You did not fondle the weakness inside you, though it was there." While the soldier may have been scared, this is example of soldier on border. If there is a scare of death in his mind, but he not showing to his enemy, he or she refused to bring that fear to top. Your courage was a small coal that you keep swallowing. Wow. Yes, friends, courage is a kind of a coal, burning coal, I can say, and you have to ready to swallow that burning coal. And this courage is very great, given by Anne Saxton. And so she is speaking for experiences that charcoal is sometimes given to a patient who has ingested toxic material. Yes, friends. For instance, if one were to swallow a bunch of pills, a doctor may give the patient charcoal to help absorb the overdose of medication. Therefore, Sexton is speaking metaphorically here. The soldier keeps swallowing his courage in order to soak up all the fear inside of himself. Friends, every young person has to show courage like the soldiers. And in that regard, the last 4 lines of the second stanza wear a bit of course. Instead of talking about courage, Sexton instead brings up love, and she writes, if your buddy saved you and died himself in so doing, then his courage was not courage. It was love. Love as simple as shaving soap. You know, friends, how simple symbol used by Anne Saxton, soap, saving soap. Or we can say another, we can compare this symbol with candle. How candle burning itself but giving light to the people. And in that regard, how sometimes courage takes different forms, and in this case, the soldiers died saving his life. He did this not because he was brave, because he loved his friends. If somebody dies by saving your life, friends, that is not courage, that is also courage, but more than courage there is love. So friends, here we can also compare courage with love. So in this way, the second stanza concluded that how one should swallow the burning coals, and these are very useful ideas in our second stage. Friends, gradually we are moving towards the third stanza, and it is also opening with the latter, the word, same word in second stanza like latter. And so the third stanza parallels the second. Sexton told the reader that it is time to move away from young adulthood and discuss the courage often found in the middle of one's life. Once again, using the word latter, she writes, if you have endured a great despair, then you did it alone. Yes, friends, everybody has to face many despairing situations, but we have to face. We should not cry before public. This despair is intentionally unnamed. Everybody has faced such kind of ideas. It could have come about due to any number of reasons. Grief, depression, illness, divorce, etc. Whatever the despair, the person faced it and endured it on his own. In the next 3 lines, she describes how one was able to do this. Now, getting a transfusion from fire, picking the scraps of your heart, then wringing it out like a sock. It means again, she turns to metaphor, this time comparing courage to various medical procedures. Friends, unlike the first 2 stanzas, Sexton places a transition in the middle of the third using the word next. Friends, as far as the third stanza is concerned, we found that how she very strongly moving, or unlike 2 stanzas, how the last 5 lines are one complete, though she writes, next, my kinsman, you powdered your sorrow, you gave it a back rub, and then you covered it with a blanket, and after it had slept a while, it woke to the wings of the roses and was transformed. Friends, these are very useful, important words used by Anne Saxton. Means here, she proclaiming to the reader that she too has shown courage and endured unthinkable tragedies. And because of that, she and the reader, all of humanity, really are the same. It means in these lines, she want to tell that the story that person took their sorrow, and instead of letting it take over, they nursed it back to health. Through this, the sorrow transformed into something beautiful. Yes, friends, it is our duty that we have to change. Many times, our very close friends, our very close relatives dies, and in that situation, we have to swallow these kind of ideas, and we have to transform life beautiful, because we have to nurse our life. And finally, friends, we are moving towards the last stanza, again with the word latter. In the final stanza, she is separate from the other 3 stanzas, where she mentioned that reader has yet to experience some of the events being discussed. Yes, friends, these are very limited experiences, but more than that, there are many experiences we can experience in our life. This stanza is about old age and coming to the realization that one will not live forever. Yes, friends, all things will die. Nobody is immortal. So we all are going to meet the death. And in that regard, she writes later, when you face old age and its natural conclusion, your courage will still be shown in the little age. Yes, friends, in old age, it is very difficult. You know, what will happen with everybody? It is a big question in the old age. And so, the Sexton then lists how the reader will do this. His spring will be sword you will sharpen. Those you love will live in fever of love. And you will bargain with the calendar. Oh, how great words used by Anne Saxton. So you know that many times we are listening the stories from old age that it is very difficult to pass the day. And so she mentioned the line here, we have to bargaining with the calendar. While the reader may beg for another day, month or year, each year they are given will be precious. The last 4 lines are particularly bittersweet. Sexton tells her reader what he or she will do when it is finally their time. Yes, friends. And at the last moment, when death opens the back door, you will put on your carpet slippers and stride out. Yes, friends. There is a very great conclusion done by Anne Saxton. Death here personified. He is opening the back door to ready his next victim, the reader. Sexton tells the reader, however, that this will be his or her last act of courage. Yes, friends, death is the last act of courage. And everybody has to face this courage. Everybody has to show this courage. And instead of covering in the corner, the reader will put on his or her slippers and stride out. Means be ready to leave this beautiful universe. So death is the best friend. It is called that. And that regard, here, she used of the word stride is completely intentional. The reader will not be weak and crawl or be dragged out. One who stride is confidence in his steps. This will be how the reader walks out of this life. So friends, we very courageously face the death. And here the poem concludes with the stride out. Friends, in this way, this beautiful poem concluded here, but we found that how our life is must be fully filled with the courage. At every moment, at every time, at every challenging event, we have to show the courage. Whether we are in childhood, whether we are in younghood, whether we are in middle age, whether we are in old age, there is no option for courage. So friends, this great poem really very courageous for everybody, and everybody should ready for life or death. And at that time, we should not be tremble, though death will be there, or we should not be in depression or in tension. So in that regard, we found the beautiful poem has given the message to all of us that at every moment we have to show the courage, and whenever we are really showing the courage to this beautiful life, then we found that definitely we'll be victorious in our life. So thank you, friends. Let's read the beautiful poem and make our life or your life very courageous. Again, read the poem and subscribe my channel. Thank you, friends. Thank you one and all.